They say there are 5 stages of grief. I think I spent the last week in denial. Deep inside, I already knew the flywheel was gone. I saw the teeth, but I didn't want to accept it. I built a Frankenstein starter. I worked outside in the freezing cold. I did everything possible just to avoid splitting the bike in this tiny shed. But the flywheel doesn't care about my feelings, or the fact that the snow is already starting to melt. If I don't do this right now, I spent all the time on the study tires for nothing. It's time to stop pretending. The transmission has to come off. Hey, I'm Daniel from Ronor's Adventure. Let's stop this drama. No more denials, no more shortcuts. Let's swap the flywheel. No time to waste. Last week, I tried everything to start the bike, but I had no luck. I was in a denial. I already knew the flywheel was damaged, and it was my fault. I forgot the little locating pin on the new starter motor, and the flywheel was chewed up by the starter, and I tried everything other than the right thing to do, and of course, no luck. In the last try, the Frankenstein starter's bushing popped out from the old casing, what is kind of strange, and that caused a misalignment on the starter's axle, and this really damaged the flywheel, so it was no space for more denial. I had ordered a new flywheel. No, I had ordered a used flywheel from eBay. The screws for the flywheel came from Germany, and I had ordered the clutch alignment tool and the spline grease and etc. So almost everything arrived except the clutch alignment tool, and I hope when we get to this point in the video it will arrive, but I have a bad feeling. And of course a new starter motor after a month. For this job we are going to use the original BMW repair manual. Of course I don't have a working printer right now, so I will work from a PDF file. I will put all the instructions in the lower search section so you can follow the steps. Okay, let's do this, but with less dramatic lights. Here we are in a less dramatic lighting situation. Unfortunately, the shed is really small, so I cannot go away from the wall. If I do something with the bike that is symmetrical, so like removing a part from one side, I'm not going to show both sides. Okay, for this we are going to use the repair manual. It's a bit vague in some ways. Removing and installing clutch. Removing clutch. Removing clutch from vehicle. Remove the stump guard. I don't think we need to do this, because this step is only if you have the BMW secure stand, but I don't have. There are some easy steps, of course, like remove the seat. Okay, we can do this. Remove side panel. Remove the fuel tank fastener. And an key, the 13 wrench. If you ask me, this is not a good design. You need to grab the nut from behind, but you can lose it. Caution: fuel is flammable and hazard to health. Surprise. Seal the fuel feed and return lines with hose clips, special BMW tool number, and disconnect. So these are the plugs of the fuel line. You just need to push this button and this pops out. It's going to pour out some fuel, so don't be surprised. Disconnect breather lines. Mine looks a bit fragile and I already removed from the bottom of the bike, but you can see the disconnectors here. Disconnect plug of fuel pump unit. This is the connector for the fuel pump and the gauges. That's all. Remove the fuel tank. So we need to remove it without tilting too much forward so we don't damage the tank. Actually, I'm going to put my hand here. So remove the battery. Always start with the negative lead. I like to put back the screws so I would find them. Now the positive lead, and now I cannot short it anywhere, so it's safe. There is an extra cable here, and I think this is for the fog lights, and the controller for the fog lights are here, and here's the relay. But this is for another episode. Cables are removed. Then we need to remove the whole battery. Oh, that's a pretty big battery, a bit heavy. Original BMW. Next step, unscrew rear battery mount. What is a rear battery mount? Probably it's just me, but I don't see a rear battery mount. I think we need to remove these bottom screws that's holding in the airbox. Yeah, sometimes the camera is going to appear in the picture. My trusty Nikon Z6 III 10mm socket. Disconnect the air temperature sensor plug. It should be this one. See, there is a little retaining thing here. Yes, there was a little piece here. Hold it in. Disconnect the diagnostic plug. This here. Remove the air filter cover. This. I should clean this before. Remove the air filter. Oh, there is even a leaf here. Remove the air intake pipe. Air intake pipe is held by a 5mm Allen key. It should be very easy. Okay. I'm going to put back these screws. Unfasten air filter box at the front and rear. I see a screw in the back. Easy peasy. to this point, none of the screws were stuck, and I like this. There are only these one-line instructions here, so no pictures and anything. Yeah, you need to rely on experience or imagination. So there is a little hidden screw here and on the other side. Removing the same screw on the right side. It's just raining heavily, so that's the noise. And here goes my winter tire riding experience. The snow is just melting like crazy. Disconnect plug / oxygen sensor, remove cable. This is the cable for the oxygen sensor going up here, and let's think we can cut. So we can cut the cable ties. The connector is free now. Just need to pry these tabs a bit open. Okay. It is a strange connector where it was cable tied. This is the cable. You just need to trace it back to the bottom of the bike. Here's the cable. Here's the cable from the other side. Disconnect hose clamps / throttle stub pipes and push the stubs into the air filter box. This pipe is held on by 2 clamps, and they have a flathead screw, and I'm kind of disappointed because it looks like every screw on this bike is different. There's German engineering for you. Okay, I'm going to use a bit of silicone spray to make my life a bit easier. Okay, the silicone spray made it much more easier than the other side, so I highly recommend it. Now the airbox is kind of free. Disconnect plugs of injection valves. This is the one. There is a little... yes. And it should come off easily. Yes. And one here in the other side. Remove holders of injection valves. The injection valve holder. Just 2 4mm screws. It needs a little bit force. Yeah. And of course, petrol just coming out. There is a ring here. It's kind of important part. So I just put it back, put back the safety holder, and of course, if I can, I always put back the screws. The next step is removing the injection valves from the throttle stub pipes. I don't think we need to remove this. Neither this. I saw in another video that the guy removed the throttle bodies. I'm going to call them throttle bodies, and sensor, throttle position sensor, and cables. But it looks like there is enough slack in them to just swing up this frame. I'm going to do the same on this side. Now the whole airbox is free, it looks free. Loosen the fastener securing the right and left foot rest plates. Okay, then remove the top screw on the left and right. There are 3 screws here, and of course different screws. The lower screws are 6 mm and the upper screw is 8 mm. So I only need to loosen this. Okay, this was the most tight screw yet. Yeah, that's tight. We need to remove this because this is connected to the rear frame and the gearbox too. That's not good. I'm going to do exactly the same on this side. Yeah, this screw is stuck. Oh, yeah. The screw is a bit rusty. I don't like this. It was not installed correctly. Remove rear frame fasteners on left and right at front, but only loosen strut fasteners. This is the rear frame, this is the front frame, and there is one 70mm nut here and one 8mm Allen key socket here, and one of them needs to be loosed and one needs to be removed, and this should be removed because then the rear frame can pivot around this screw. It wasn't too bad. Okay. Loose, not removed. I just need to do the same on the other side, you can imagine. This is a long screw, a really long screw. It's already loose. Remove rear silencer and remove front silencer. There is one 50mm nut here. And usually these nuts are loose. No. I did not expect this to be easy. There is a 6mm screw here. Yeah, it is kind of heavy. I was thinking about an aftermarket silencer, mainly for the weight. I'm going to put back the screw. So, next step, the cat. We need to remove the cat. Hold on in the front, at least, by two 50mm screws. These are not really in the... Oh, that was terrible. Don't be a completely stuck screw, please. Okay, there is a T40 screw here under the cap, and oh, it was not stuck at all. That was a bit too easy, actually. Okay, that was like too easy. Does it move? I think so. Yeah. The manual said nothing about removing the back wheel, but as you can see, it touches the tires, so I cannot remove the cat. Maybe there is a way if I can go. Yeah. So in fact, you can remove the cat. Oh, that's heavy. The cat is down and it was very heavy. Remove starter motor cover and disconnect cable to power socket. This is already done. Obviously there is no starter motor in the bike, so you will see an insert from outside. Disconnect cables from starter motor. Remove the starter motor. Disconnect cable from oil pressure switch. Okay. So we need to pull out this retaining clip. Okay, it just popped out. I hope you saw it. For the oil switch cable, there are three 3 little clips. 1, 2, 3. They need to be removed. And needle nose plier can do it. Yeah. Without damaging the. These are rusty. Okay. The switch connector and cable is free. Disconnect plug of side stand switch. This is the switch, and this part is damaged. And yeah, this is not the connector. Somebody already damaged this part. And I think we need to undo this circle clip. Yeah, this clip is gone. This was the little clip that needed to be removed. Do we need to remove it? No. This was the switch. This part is a bit damaged, so I think I need to seal it up before installing back. Disconnect plug of gear indicator. This is the connector for the gear indicator. So just need the flathead screwdriver. Yes. And I need to undo this. Cut this. Remove the fastener, securing the rear spring strut at the bottom. This is the rear spring stud, and we need to remove this screw. It's an 8. Yes, it's an 8mm. It's an 8mm Anarchy. Nice. My light just died on me. The rear shock is free now. Remove hydraulic spring adjuster. This is the hydraulic spring adjuster, and it is secured by 1/6mm. And I'm what? Well, wasn't that. Oh, there is a nut below. Just a 30mm wrench and an Allen key. What was needed? A 6mm Allen key. Screw back in its place. Disconnect plug of brake light switch and remove cable. Here's the cable for the brake switch, and these 2 cable ties. It needs to be cut. This is the brake light switch. This needs to be, the cable needs to be removed. Here. Remove brake master cylinder. I don't really understand why would I need to remove these 2 when I have a loose footrest. So I guess I can just remove the whole footrest assembly. Yeah. So I just removed the whole assembly. I think it's much easier. Remove rear brake fluid reservoir from its holder. This is the rear brake reservoir, and yeah. Disconnect the plug of the rear ABS sensor. This is the cable for the rear ABS sensor. You just need to push this little tab and remove it here. Remove brake line from the rear frame. I have no brake line on the rear frame, so this bike doesn't have a working ABS, and I guess that's why I'm missing this brake line. Remove the brake line from the swing arm. I need a 10mm wrench to remove it. There is this little guard keeping it in place and away from the tire. I don't think this is a good design, putting a nut just next to the tire. Okay, so it's off. Little oxidization. Remove the rear ABS sensor. It is secured by two different sized screws with key sockets. This is a smaller one. This is the bigger one. The bigger one is a 4mm Allen key. The smaller was, I think it's a 3. I didn't sew that guard on other bike. I guess it's an aftermarket accessory. This is the ABS sensor and needs to be cooled. It's funny that there was a rubber ring here. It's funny that the bike has a aftermarket protector, because this bike doesn't even have a ABS module in it, a working ABS module. Remove rear brake caliper. It's held on by two T45 screws, and yes, it was removed a month ago, so it should come off easily. This one has a holder for the rubber ring of the ABS sensor's cable. Okay. Use cable ties to secure the brake caliper to the rear frame. As I said, my bike has a deleted ABS module. I guess securing it onto the rear frame only makes sense if you have the ABS version bike. Remove the clutch bleeding / filler adapter from the rear frame. This is the filler adapter, bleeding / filler adapter. Again, a cable tie. It's removed from the frame. And here comes the most exciting part. Tilt the rear frame up and secure it in this position with the strap attached to the handlebar. I guess this is a don't do this alone thing. Checking if something is getting in the way. There is a cable tie here. Oh, yes. everything else is moving freely. Nothing is too tight here. A bit more. This is a bit nerve-wracking, I have to say. I can say that you don't need to remove the throttle bodies on the bike to lift the back up. This looks so funny. Remove cable ties / wiring harness from air filter box. Okay, I think I just did it. Use hose clip plier, BMW special tool number here, to disconnect hose from rotary breather from air filter box. A rotary breather. So this is the crankcase breathing line here. This is the breather line, breather tube from the crankcase, and unfortunately it's secured by this special thing. Maybe I can get away with a not special tool. Yeah, it just popped off. I think it may be could used again, but I don't like this. I'm going to use a standard hose clamp. Oh, yeah. Remove air filter box. Should just pull this. Yeah. We have it. Oh. There is literally shit in this box. Remove the fuel distributor. The fuel distributor is on the airbox, so why exactly would I need to remove it? It's not on the bike. This repair manual is a bit bad. Remove clutch slave cylinder. Okay, that is on the bike. This is the clutch slave cylinder, and it's held on by 5mm Allen key. Oh, that was easy. Okay, so 3 5mm Allen key socket screws. Here comes. Okay. Yeah. And this seal should be replaced according to the manual. Anyway, I'm going to put back the screws one by one. Next step, remove the gearbox. Okay, that's a pretty vague instruction. Always use oiled guide pins. BMW special number for removing or installing the gearbox. And I don't have them, but I'm going to use some standard M8 screws, and I'm going to cut off the head and make them like a flathead screw. so the gearbox can slide off on them. Remove the rear wheel drive and swing arm together with the gearbox. So we don't need to remove anything from here. We can move the whole unit down from the engine. Take care to keep the gearbox at its installed height until the full length of the clutch actuating rod is visible, as otherwise the rod can be bent. That's a good advice. Here comes the gearbox. It's held on by 6 T45 head screws, and we need to replace them with special BMW removing tools. I just cut off the head of some Allen key screws and made a slot to them. You will see how this works. So there is up here one. One in this, on the left side, one in the left side, one down here under the gearbox, yes, and this upper one needed to be replaced by this sliding pin. The bottom one was longer, and we need to do the same on the right side. I'm going to start with the bottom one. It's under the gearbox. This is a long screw too, and I'm going to put this sliding pin here. On the right side there is a little plastic console for the coils cable, the spark plugs cable, and it is in the way, so I can guess we can remove it. This little thing, and then we can remove the screw. I'm going to undo this first. Okay. There is a little console for the plastic holder, and the last screw. Yeah, it is loose. I need to remove the gearbox with the drivetrain and the wheel in one piece, according to the manual. I'm going to kneel down so I will not drop it accidentally. Fuck. Fuck. Okay. Yeah. The gearbox is down. Whew. One of these screws just stuck under these cables, So be aware of this. It's not exactly light. You can see how bad the flywheel is. It's totally chewed up, and not just here, but on other parts too. Yeah, it was an unfortunate event. Finally, the gearbox is gone. We can work on the clutch. The next step, lock the clutch housing with a special tool. BMW special tool number. I have a very special screw that I had found in my screw box. When the pistons are at the TDC, top dead center, then there is a hole here. And we need to push in the special tool that locks the flywheel, so we can work on it. The flywheel is locked. The next step, almost the final step, remove the clutch. I need a 5mm Allen key to loosen the 6 screws that are holding this clutch plate and the spring plate and the whole assembly together. I hope it's not that okay. This is loose, very loose. I didn't check the torque numbers, but these screws should be swapped for a new one every time. So I guess they should be much more tight. Okay, I should lose the top one last, but here we are. For the disassembly you could use the aligning tool that would hold this a bit much more aligned or together. And you can see that the spline was greased, and this is a good sign. This is a spring plate, and this is one of the clutch plates. This is one of the clutch plates, and this is the clutch. It swapped out kind of recently, but I have zero plans of swapping any of this. The clutch assembly is out, and here ends the repair manual for this job. We need to remove the flywheel, and that's the whole point of this disassembly. So let's do it. Here's the flywheel assembly, and the flywheel is locked by this very special screw. I only need a 70mm socket to remove these 5 screws. They are tight, and they should be tight. These screws need to be changed every time. So there is this plate, I guess, for the spring to work. And yeah, okay, that was easy. Yeah. Oh, and this looks like new, and that's very, very good news. There is a little pin here that needs to be matched. Here is the damaged flywheel. I did this whole disassembly for this one part that is exactly in the middle of the bike. You can see that many of the teeth are gone, and even where it seems like they are good, they are not, unfortunately. According to the invoices, the steel was changed 3 years ago, and it only ran 3,000 kilometers since, and it looks fairly new. I'm not going to do anything with it, fortunately. Here is the used flywheel with a fairly good teeth, and there is a little pin that should be matched with the hole here. Like this. And there is a disc that should not be left out. And every time a new flywheel goes to the bike, it needs new screws. These are freshly from Germany. The screws should be tightened by hand first. Before we torque the screws, it's important to check so everything is aligned, because these are one-shot screws. We need a special tool to hold the flywheel in place, like that. I'm going to use a torque wrench, the clickety ones, and I highly recommend to use this type. It is absolutely necessary to use a torque wrench here. The torque setting for the screws are 40 Nm. They should be torqued in a cross pattern. So first this, then this, 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 this. I'm going to check all of the screws again. After torquing the screws to 40 Nm, they should be turned 32 degrees. I'm going to turn them approximately 32 degrees. and 32 degrees is like halfway between these 2 points. So I'm going to put a mark to every corner. And one mark halfway, so we can see how much did we turn the screws. So screw, yeah, here and here, and this is an absolute necessity. For this turning, I'm going to use a simple torque arm. Start with this. I'm going to check multiple times. I don't want to overturn them. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And a little more. Yes. A little. Yes. This one. It's fairly easy in the beginning and it's getting harder. So this is done, 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 done. This is the last one. Yes. We should check every one of them, that the point of the screw is at the second line. Second line, second line, second line, second line, second line. Done! According to the manual, the spring plate's contact point should be greased lightly. And this is a special grease for this application. Same here, I already greased the contact points of the clutch spring. This is a special BMW clutch alignment 2. It should be put through like this, and we can put the clutch spring here. Just to be clear, there is a white mark here, and there is another white mark here on the other clutch plate, and this should be 120 degrees apart, so the clutch is balanced. New screws again from Germany. The best to put
one here, so it can hold the whole assembly a bit until we align it. Okay, so this tool helps to align the plates. Put another screw here. Six screws. Should be tightened by hand first. So I'm going to turn this. You can see it should move freely when we tightened up the screws by hand first again. It should be, we can wiggle this a bit until we tighten them bit by bit. This is important because we cannot assemble, we cannot put. This is important because we cannot put back the gearbox if this is not aligned perfectly. And again, I'm going to use a torque wrench for these two, a smaller one that goes down to 5 to 25 Newton meter, and these screws should be torqued to 12 Newton meter. So to 12 Newton meter, first I'm going to torque them a bit. So here comes the 12 Newton meter. One. Two. Three. 4. Five. And 6. The last one to 12 Newton meter. Okay, that's it. We are done. They don't need to be turned any degrees, and we should remove this tool easily, as you can see. Last step is a bit of high performance grease from the manufacturer. It should be greased fairly lightly. And this is very important because this is a very weak point of the bike, I have to say. These splines are not very well designed, and the gearbox main shaft can be damaged very easily if this is left out. The next step is putting back the gearbox. It's important to remove the locking tool now, so this can move around, and the splines are greased on both sides, and these installing pins are in place, helping the gearbox to slide on. And we'll see. This is going to be a bit heavy. The bottom one, the top one. Yeah. And there is a cable that's holding this back just for fun. Yeah, we are on the sliding pins, and we need to align the spline. We can do it by rotating the back wheel a bit. I think we are a bit off, like sideways. It's important to not rush this step. Hear me out. If you can, do this with someone. I'm going to use some of these screws to help the process. Maybe it can help me with this. This is a long screw, not the correct screw for this hole. Yeah, it's on. I feel it that I cannot turn the wheel. So I can start to put back some of the screws. I'm using this ceramic paste to install the screws. Maybe some of you are shouting Don't do this! So a screw should go here. We can remove the sliding pins and put more screws in. So the bottom sliding pin is out, and we can put in a long screw back in its place. And there is this screw with this console, and it needs a washer here that goes to this hole. The last screw goes in here in the bottom. The screws are in, and I'm going to check if everything is all right. Yeah, I see the flywheel is turning. It should be good. The gearbox screws should be torqued to 22 Newton meter. For checking. Three, 4, 5, and 6. Installation is the reverse of the removal procedure. Thank you very much. We need to trace back our steps to put the bike together. I already installed the gearbox, but here is a little problem. The slave cylinder of the hydraulic clutch is gone, pretty much gone, and I need to replace that. And I'm going to make a mini little video about that. So if you want to see, check out in the box. Here it is. And we need to install it to the bike. This seal should be swapped every time. And I hope it's not really stuck. Don't forget this clutch pushing rod. I'm going to put a little grease to the rod just to prevent it from rusting, and should be greased anyway. And was here. This hole, and there's a new felt here. It is mainly used to yes. Yes. turn it a bit and we can push in. Yes. We put a bit of ceramic paste on every screw. Three screws with a 5mm Allen head. They should be torqued to 9 Nm. This is my torque wrench. Yeah, exactly 9 Nm. The bottom one could be easily torqued. Yes. We have a clutch 6-cylinder and we can start to assemble the bike. Since the bike is disassembled and this part is fairly accessible, you can see a bit of problem here. My cable harness is just crumbling away, so I'm going to repair that, or I try to repair it. This is a special automotive tape especially made for this application, until I'm going to disassemble the whole bike into pieces. I'm not going to remove all of this, but I'm going to wrap it where I can. Of course, a little cleaning with this contact spray would not hurt. It is kind of hard to do this in tight places. I didn't remove the fuel distributor. It's on the airbox, so I can install it in one unit. And here comes the airbox. It's a bit tight. Okay. The airbox should be somewhere around here. We need to lower the back frame to mount the airbox, and there is one cable tie. So I'm going to use a normal hose clamp because I hate those special clamps. Yeah, I hope it will hold on. And we need to cable tie this cable to the airbox, And don't judge me, but I only have a brown cable tie. I just realized that, but I cannot accept any more delays with this project. Yes. So, yeah, I'm going to live with a brown cable tie. There is a rainstorm, and here comes the most exciting part, lowering back the rear frame. And I really hope I'm not going to damage anything. Okay, slowly. I'm holding the rear frame by my leg, so I'm not letting go of it yet. I'm watching for anything that can pinch. Yes. Like here, the air box. Okay. Done. We need to secure the clutch breather line here or anywhere. Actually, it doesn't really matter. The only thing matters that it's secured. The only thing matters if it's secured or not. Okay, here comes the rear brake caliper with this whole assembly. What I removed in one piece. So, okay, you need to push back. The brake pads so you can fit it here. But I already did it when I removed from the bike. Okay, the smaller screw goes to the back. Yes. And the screw with the console goes here. Okay. So it holds this rubber. I'm going to tie this. They need to be torqued to 40 Newton meter. I'm going to clean it because it has a magnet and there's some shaving on it. Yes, should be okay. Yeah. So I'm going to push this back. Holder. Here goes the ABS sensor, and as the bike doesn't have a working ABS module, I don't think it needs an aftermarket ABS protector. I'm not going to install it. This needs to be hand tight. So that's it. By the way, this is a 4mm Anki. This screw was holding the protector. So I'm just going to screw it back. The gears here to match. Yeah, right. And here goes this little console, and I'm going to apply a bit of ceramic paste to this console screw. And 10mm wrench. Yeah. Here comes the footrest plate, and it's held on by 3 screws. And the upper one, it goes through the gearbox to this shaft that's behind here and connected to the other side. And there are 2 types of screws. The longer one goes to the right side. It's a bit rusty, it doesn't really matter, but it needs some Loctite 243. And just need to move the frame a bit. That's not good. I have a problem with torquing this screw, but there's a trick. The shaft this screw goes in has a flat spot for an 80mm wrench, and I can clamp it easily now. Yeah, 41. These 2 bottom screws should be torqued to 21 Newton meters. Yeah. This one works, but this feels like the screw is gone. Okay, for my mental health, I'm just going to leave this alone for now. Okay, after the screw failure, I need something easy, so I'm going to put back the cables. I think this is the ABS sensor. Yes. And the brake light switch. And this is the brake light. Yes. They need to be cable tied here somewhere. Okay, interesting. I cannot turn it to the proper position to show minimum and maximum, but these 2 lines are for that, so I don't care much about this. It should go under here, and then it could work, but I'm not going to do it. It should be put before I lower the frame. Anyway, it is what it is. Okay, some cable ties. There is this rear frame screw. This should be torqued to 41 Newton meter. Okay. And there is another screw here. Both screws torqued to 41 Newton meter. Here I did a bit of stupidity because I didn't cover up the throttle bodies, and this is dangerous. I'm going to use a bit of silicone spray. Makes the job easier and more friendly on the parts, like on this ring that wants to be torn apart. Okay, I'm going to clamp them with a 7mm socket, but I need to be aware that I can over torque it. That's fairly good. And here comes the fuel line to the injector, and I left the screws in the body. I did not found any torque specification for these screws, so we need to remove this retainer ring or whatever and push back this part. How hard this should be pushed. I think this should be only hand tightened. I mean manly hand tight. Here comes the connector, and connector means a little bit of contact cleaner. Okay, and push this in, and the retaining clip should go in here, and I need to fix this part. We are on the left side now, and I'm going to do the same to 41 Newton meter. This one to 41 too. As we are here next to the throttle body, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put some silicone spray there, and I put a bit here, this way. This should just easily slide on. Yes. Carefully. I don't want to over tighten it because it can damage the parts, especially here. It's not moving, it's good. And here comes the petrol line to the injector. We need to remove the retaining clip and push this in a bit. Ow. And we need to put this little clip here. Fortunately, it's pretty accessible, so if it's going to start squirting out petrol, then I can fix it easily. And the bike is assembled. Okay, bit of contact cleaner and push it together and push back the retaining clip. And the airbox on this side is held by one screw. And it's a bit tricky, but and I didn't found the torque setting for this. I think it's tight. So for the rear shock, we need this long screw, and we need to put Loctite onto it. Loctite 243. But it's not. It was not tricky. So this should be torqued to 58 Nm with Loctite 243. The next is the spring preload adjuster, and there is a neat space for it here. And there's a screw and a nut. So I had made a mistake. I forgot to tighten this screw, but this should be tightened before the spring screw, the rear shock screw. So the next is this screw that was the rear frame to the gearbox, and this should be torqued to 41 mm with some Loctite 243. And I hope we can do it fairly easily, because unfortunately, yes. Okay, no problem here. But this should be really done before the rear shock. Okay, 41 Nm. These bottom screws should be torqued to 21 Nm. And I already stripped one on the other side, so I'm not really happy with them. Yeah. Next, some cable management. This cable comes from the gear indicator and goes up here. Well, just below these cables to be more straight. And under this, I think, yes, and it goes up here. It goes to this connector up here, and of course I'm going to use a bit of contact cleaning spray and push it together. the OS pressure switch. There are 3 little clips here, here, and here on this vertical. And the cable runs to the bottom of the engine. The last sensor here is this side stand sensor, and it was a bit tricky to put on, but yeah, no, it was easy peasy. And there is a clip holding this, so this clip should go there. The clip just fly away and went through one of the cracks on the floor, and it's gone. So I need to get one, and this clip goes here. Here comes the new starter motor. Yay! Okay, the pin is in place. That's very important. And I'm going to put the starter to its place. Yes. One of the threads are stripped, unfortunately. So I have a different, longer screw here that can hopefully work. The bottom screw is original. It's hidden under here. Without the catalytic converter and the exhaust pipe, it's much easier to work on the starter. They should be torqued to 20 Newton meter. I'm going to be careful with this screw. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'm using some contact spray and a disconnector too. I have this special BMW part that goes here, so you can charge the battery from here. So this should be torqued to 10 Newton meter. It's much better. We are going to put that here. Okay, I've seen worse. Under the battery plate there are 2 screws. There goes 2 washers. 10mm nuts. And 2 air filter box is held on by 1 bolt at the back. The next piece is the air intake. Okay. And it's only held on by 1 screw. Apply the bit of silicone spray. It should be tightened carefully. The next piece is the air filter. It goes in like that. So here comes the top part of the airbox. Okay. So 2 cables go here. It goes like that. And the returning clip goes back. This is the Motronic unit's connector.
The next step is the front silencer, the cat.
Yeah, that would be easier without. That would be much easier without a guard. So maybe on one side and yes, a little more. Yes. And there's 2 screws down here and 1 screw here. A bit more. Yes. Yes. And the clamps. This should be torqued to 20 Nm. I'm not going to show this side, but it's exactly the same. This clamp should be torqued to 45 Nm. Okay, 45 Nm. I'm going to do this on the right side too. Okay, and here comes the exhaust. And the clamp first. Yes. And 1 screw here. Okay, now the torque setting for this screw is 35 Nm, and one of my torque wrench goes up to 25 and the other one goes down to 40, so I cannot torque this properly. I mean, I can use my built-in torque wrench, my hand. This cover plate and clamp should be torqued to 45 Nm. Okay, we have an exhaust. So there is this connector from the oxygen sensor, and it should be just pushed together. I'm going to put a cable tie here, a nice brown cable tie, and I repaired the cable. I put some harnessing tape on it. Finally, the battery goes back to the bike. Yes, I think this one was installed backwards, but it's already adapted to the shape of the battery, so I cannot really put on the right direction. but yeah, it's good. There is a problem here, and I need to put some heat shrink onto this. No, it doesn't go on from here. I'm going to put a heat shrink here, then wrap it with this tape. Yeah, it's going to be okay. What did you expected? Okay, here comes the positive terminal, 10mm wrench. Okay, and okay, we don't smell anything. The bike is not burning. This is getting exciting. Finally, the tank. Going to check if I'm pinching something, and yes, I do. Pinch some extra cable, and it's a bit tricky here. Okay. And here comes the screw. One Allen key had a screw and one 30mm nut, 30mm hex, so, but you understand. Here we are, the screw is on, holding the tank. There is one connector for the pump and the sensor. Click. Okay, so the video lamp just died, and we need to put in the petrol line. So extend some, yeah. Okay. Yes. It clicked on. Clicked on. Yeah. We are done in this area. This side panel. Here. To cover up all the mess we had made. The petrol tank is on, finally. I only need to route these breather lines down here, but I'm going to do it later because I cannot resist to try to turn the key. Okay. Petrol is not squirting everywhere, and there is no strange issues as I can see. We are in first gear. Okay, what will happen if I push the start button? No. First we need to turn the throttle a couple of times, shut down the bike and start it back
again. This should set the Motronic electronics brain. Okay, so some gas and that was something. The starter is working. It's something. One of the throttles are not opening fully, and that's not good. Okay. It's fully open, and it's fully open. Okay, try it again. Okay. Try again. It's running. I need to open the door. Okay. Okay, so the bike is running finally, and I'm out for a test ride. I just filled up the bike with new petrol, but it feels like it doesn't run like it should. I think the throttle bodies need a synchronization, and maybe it needs a valve adjustment. I think so. It's springtime here in Sweden. The roads are snow-free, but in shady areas there are plenty of snow. Like here it's a bit, but there are parts where all the forest is covered in snow.
The gearbox, clutch, and everything, suspension looks like it's working. The studded tires are kinda loud and pointless, as you can see. Unfortunately, I missed all the winter icy road riding, but c'est la vie. It's pretty windy here in Sweden right now, and it's usual in the springtime, but the weather otherwise it's sunny and really nice. So the whole point of the video was to prove that we shouldn't be afraid of disassemble the bike, even if we don't have a proper workshop. As you can see, I have a little shed where the bike cannot fit really, and I still managed to swap out the gearbox, not the gearbox, the flywheel, and the clutch master cylinder, and everything can be down really, I think. So don't be afraid of a job like that, because some say, oh, splitting the bike in half is a terrible, huge job. Yeah, it's not that easy and not that quick, but especially if you have a friend and you have a big enough space, I think it can be done in a weekend day or 2 afternoons if you have all the parts already for the bike. If you don't, like me, you have to wait parts to arrive from Germany, and everything takes a week. And if you order just one set of screw and it arrives and you start to put the bike together, they realize that the master cylinder is gone and you have to order one again, and the weeks just fly.